26th at 6 p.m. Can we get roll call, please?
Barbara Reiki, present. Lane Warner,
Present.
Jamie Vorpal,
Here.
Dwayne Urbanski.
Here.
Dave Porter.
Here.
Chuck Major.
Here.
To the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Discussion and possible action on the following. Recommendation of the Plan Commission related to conditional use permit for 100 Industrial Drive. Recommendation was to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the application as is supplied. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just have a question about, I think I know, but just, I wasn't able to determine, where would these be placed exactly, on the property?
North corner behind the pine trees,
Okay, where there's an excavator right now, like
Yes,
in that general
yes.
area?
Yep.
Okay,
like right exactly where it is.
okay, I thought that, but I wanted to make sure we were clear that I didn't know what's in here, so,
Very good.
thank you.
Anything else? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendation of the village thank you, sir.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good night.
Recommendation of the village engineers related to 2026 road project contracts.
My name is Kevin Rich. I'm here to answer any questions related to the project as it was bid last year.
Yeah, so we had a public works meeting last Wednesday, and we reviewed the bids. There was two, and then the bid from the county for the blacktopping and base and prep work. And so it was our recommendation to go with the Cruzek, their bid, and then the Sheboygan County bid, which would be a total of $1,564,774.
And we're talking with Kevin, we should probably add a contingency on top of that. Like 15% or so.
Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty long.
okay, yeah, so we would add. The only thing, and like I said, we're just gonna play that by ear, right, Kevin? I mean, fingers crossed, maybe, worst case scenario, we get the binder on and we wait to put the second layer on till next year. You know, I mean, if all, worst case scenario, we're still waiting, we hear anything more back from the railroad?
I reached out to the railroad, still no change in the railroad. I did reach out to DNR. I got the DNR permit today.
Okay, great.
Conditionally approved on the DNR, chapter 30, which is 58. And then talking with the contractor, they weren't planning on starting until September 1 anyways, the utility contractor. So that gives us, as of right now, 6 weeks to wait for the permit. If the permit doesn't come by September 1, they said that they'll gear up to start as I presented, start down Second, down Bentert, and then proceed to the, to the east.
I know you two have been talking, but, the Cruzek, good things from the county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Germantown used them for quite a
Oh,
bit.
yeah, I think Dustin actually, maybe he had talked to you about that, so
Yeah, they did
it was,
a big project.
it was good, yeah.
Also their industrial park and everything, they did all of it.
Jamie, just a couple questions. One, were you discouraged with only two bids, or was the committee satisfied with the dollars?
I probably really thought we were only gonna get maybe two, and actually I really thought they were gonna be a lot higher.
Okay.
I really didn't think we'd get anything under $1 million for that, and that's why I'll admit, I was pretty pessimistic about it, that this wasn't gonna happen, but, no, I feel confident, right, Kevin? I mean, I think it's.
And did you look at Bearing Electrical or
No,
all
we
the
did not,
infrastructure?
not with that, no, not.
No, because it's a small run. Is that kind of a thought or just cost or?
Regarding what now?
Burying the
Utilities.
lines and all that, the electric and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, well, they were still, the We Energies was still looking at that. And this project really wouldn't change that much with that because they're outside the curb and gutter, which we're
So can be
leaving.
done later?
So that can be done at a later time.
Fantastic.
And if we would add wait for them, we could possibly wait another couple of years.
Okay, I just wanna make sure it can be done.
Yep,
If
yep.
needed later
Yep,
versus.
and that was a good point, yes, and that we should, you know.
And the last question is, how are we gonna fund it?
Thank you, you took my question.
Then I'm done with questions.
Well, we had, whatever we had talked last fall,
Correct.
your budget process, correct?
Sewer's gonna pay for the sewer part,
And
water will pay
which-
for water part.
And we were
don't have
under,
cash in the project. We don't have that much cash available, though, do we?
We would need the county's piece, basically, so the 600 and some thousand, we would have to finance for general.
And we were gonna talk to Ayers about that, is that the
Yeah.
idea? Whether it's borrowed or not, well, it would be enough to.
Right, they had proposed that breakdown last year.
I
Now,
remember,
once
yeah.
once we approve this, then we can send them the actual number.
and
They can-
I know we talked
Bring
about
that
Kevin,
back.
but we kinda had figured like
1.8.
1.8?
1842, exactly.
Okay, so we came in under,
200 under that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was like,
Okay, just checking.
yeah, no,
Just
it's all good.
Make sure
I-
that's cute. So,
Yep.
Very
And
good.
then, and that, back to your original question, with the only being one bidder, actually it was two bidders. The first one was 933, my estimate was 9, so it was
Okay.
pretty close to mine, and the second one was 1.2.
Yeah.
So, being that late in the year, I was happy to get two.
The county is a huge savings,
Well,
Yes.
yeah,
so
and,
that's all I had, thank you.
yep, nope, and as long as, keep our fingers crossed that we can go.
After the meeting, I talked to Jamie and Chuck about Venter Street being changed to a one-way. I believe that's what the bids are out for. But we never had that on any agendas or anything like that, and I know Dwayne believes in transparency. And I did talk to a bunch of people, and they said, well, it was never on any agenda. It was in a motion of the Public Works, I believe it was. to
And
go-
beautification,
What's that?
and beautification.
And beautification, to go forward with that, and recommended that we be approved by the village board. I understand that because it was in the plans, or for the quotes for the building, I'm sorry, about the tree, about the road, that was considered approved by the village board. And I don't believe that's transparency. I would have, if it would have been on any agenda, but it was not on any agendas, we did ask, I got newspapers, from Gary today. It was mentioned, the first one, to pay attention and try to let people know. I did talk to, I think, 8 people. One had no opinion. One, just didn't wanna say anything, the other 6 were not in favor of it, just going the way it was. I also had called Clark, Mustafa, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, at Clark Beach, and asked him to give me a call back. Because there was other ideas brought forward to me, the potential is, if we left the street the way it is right now, and made it a one-way, could you put angled parking on the east side, where it's now just parallel parking, and creating potentially 5 more parking positions? So that was one of the things. I did ask him to call me back, and I left one message, about a month and a half ago, he never did. So I don't believe that we've been open or honest, I don't mean to be honest, transparent about putting that in one-way street, other than in minutes of a meeting. It was never on any agendas unless I missed it. I went back, and 4 of the people said they were keeping an eye on the agenda. Some may wanna come, some may not. But those, I did talk to bunch of people, so The other idea that was well, if you make it a one-way going to the south, can you add angle parking currently where, if we left it the way it was, on the east side of the road? And again, I never got any opinions on it, or up from the south. So, go ahead.
No, whatever you're done.
I just think that we should have at least on an agenda and brought forward to the public. It was never brought forward for the full village to vote on. Unless you consider it enclosed in some contract for redoing the roads.
Was the business owner contacted?
I contacted,
I talked to Doc.
I talked to Doc and Scott and, other people on Second Street.
Just a couple points for clarification. When was it, what was the articles in the Sounder about how did that get addressed? Cause I remember, I thought I saw something at one point, an article that talked about
Yep.
this was a proposal.
Venture Street,
Okay, so we're on the front page there. When was that article written?
May 7th.
May 7th, okay. Now, in one of our, at least you mentioned 2 committee meetings where we recommended that it should go to village board, correct?
Right.
Those meetings are meetings, minutes are not published for committee meetings, are they?
Mhm.
They are, you're on the board. And you talked to these business owners prior to that happening, correct?
Prior to this happened?
Yeah.
You did?
No, after?
I did,
After or before?
before.
And I-
Right when it first got brought up, like, cause Doc had heard, and I just told him, I said, this is kinda maybe what's getting proposed. You're not losing a single parking spot, as is.
So my argument to that is, of course, we wanna be transparent, we want people, but front page of the Sounder, it's been in 2 committee meetings, and not once has someone come in here and raised any objection, not one email that I'm aware of. So, I mean, we could go around and survey people all we want, that's very unofficial and it doesn't really tell us
Right.
what, so.
No,
My-
there is, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, that's why I was asking you, Jamie, because
Mhm.
I did hear something of concerns
Mhm.
from, so, you know what he is, like, he can't be here, cause he's not a taxpayer here, he's a
He could
business
also,
owner.
he can talk.
I know, I told him that too, so I just
Right.
wanna make sure that that was clarified,
Yeah,
because that
it was
would be
clarified.
more
I just-
my
I-
biggest concern, cause it's a great community support.
But it wasn't on the agendas to talk about.
It might not have been, and I'm
Well,
sorry.
how did it get voted on and approved if it wasn't on any agendas?
I think that's the piece that got missed, and I've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
Things happen in committee, we're going to get rid of cat licenses, we're going to send it to the village board, and
But
then
do we know that for a fact, that it wasn't on any agenda to be discussed at Public Works or beautification or
Is
parks
Rachel
or whatever it
online?
was?
Is Rachel online?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes, yes.
Does she recall that in a beautification, or a, parks?
Combined.
I thought it might have been an agenda item on one of the parks. Because that's where it first came up, when we wanted to widen the sidewalks, as far as what I recall. When we wanted to have room in beautification or parks, whichever, to make for a Veterans Park or that park, Triangle Park, whatever it is, which we have to get straightened out. To put a sidewalk in there, that's when the idea was first brought up, to my recollection. And I thought that was an agenda on a meeting.
Well, it has to be, so I mean, we had to have had it here because it goes from committee to the full village board.
It was on May 19th. It was a Tuesday at 5:30 for the joint beautification Lakes Park Rec. There was a item on the agenda, Triangle Park Design and Bent Street. That was the agenda item. It didn't say one-way Bent Street, it just said Bent Street. And then in the minutes with all the discussion, that was, the goal was to talk about making it a one-way. Because of wanting to expand the park, so we could put a sidewalk along that side, so when people do park there, it's more accessible. And people can step off onto a sidewalk instead of stepping onto a curb and then grass. But we didn't wanna lose from the small park we already had. So that was the entire goal of making it a one-way, was to have more space in the Triangle Park, to be able to have a sidewalk, and not lose park space. We talked about that on May 19th in beautification and made a recommendation, to the village board.
And
I think that's the piece that got missed, because it clearly says, motion made to recommend to the village board a change in Benchard Street. That recommendation never came to the board. There is no agenda item on a board meeting for that recommendation. If you think about what just happened prior to this, right, Jimmy was here, the planning commission recommended that the village board accept it, the village board accepted it. The piece that I think got missed was that, so I think it's just as simple as, put it on the agenda, I don't think anybody's gonna have a problem with it, put it on an agenda, cover your butts, right?
Well, I feel like by them approving this plan tonight, which includes that, because we've
But
already
it's not
recommended
on
it to the engineer and
But
to
it's
the.
not on any, it's not,
But
there's,
it's part
back
of
to
the
the
project.
transparency, you've gotta read through 80 pages of project.
Can I ask if that, whether that is done next meeting or whatever, does it really change the project that's in front of us today? Cause whether it's one way or two way, it's gonna be the same cost structure, does it modify much?
Well, right now, the curb is all coming out and it's all being shifted towards the center line.
So it might
To
save
get
us
room
money.
for that sidewalk.
So at worst case, it would reduce the scope of the project if it doesn't get
Yes.
approved.
Do you
So
know-
therefore, we shouldn't hold up trying to push our road project forward.
The only thing to Rachel though is if we don't, just saying, if we don't do this, what about the Snowmobile Club? Are they still able to get through if we do anything down there?
Yeah, we've talked to them about making sure when we design the park that we have an alternative if we don't have something straight through the park. So we've been in talks with them, but we haven't, because we don't have a final park design and they are being included as much as we can on the design of the park itself. We don't have a final plan of this is where the trail will go, because we don't even know where the trees are gonna go at the moment. The only thing that's kind of finalized is adding a sidewalk. But we are definitely considering them.
Like,
Oh, sorry, Blake.
Could you
You're next, Zoom.
cross off the line, or, so if we sign it tonight, and they decided that they didn't wanna go with a one-way, could that be crossed off? Or
Yeah.
Change
It's a
it,
change.
Yeah.
It's good.
change it a
Yeah,
different
you
time?
just, it's on the plans,
Right.
we're not building it.
So that wouldn't have to, that would just come from the board if they decide they had enough people to come say.
That would be a later item to be built anyways,
Right.
because they gotta get the water main in first.
Right.
So that's probably still 2 months out.
But I think, and then, the difference in the cost of where the park ends now, and they bring it out, is that the village's cost, is that part of the grant, or the potential $1 million grant? And that kind of stuff, so in other words, you're gonna be adding dirt and, grass and all the other kind of stuff, would that be considered under that big beautiful project? $1 million or whatever it is, or?
Yes, I'm having him pull out the expense for that, so we can apply it towards a grant.
Okay. Good.
well, let's get it in the paper, and if they wanna come, they need to be.
I'll make a motion that
We have a
approve
motion
the
in a
bid.
second.
We do?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you did,
No,
that's what I asked you.
I'm
I'll make-
sorry.
I'll make a
Oh,
motion.
go for it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid from Cruiser Construction Incorporated for $1,564,774 for the road project described in the memorandum here. And that it'll be subject, well, we'll make that motion that to be passing that tonight with the acknowledgement that we'll have a future village vote on whether it becomes a one-way or not. Is that clear enough? Whether Benner becomes one way or not.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendation of the Finance Committee related to charitable donation agreement form.
So this in front of you is from our recommendation from finance. We looked at several different charitable type of agreements to put in place for the village. At this point, the village didn't really have anything, and as we're trying to fundraise for Bay Project and other things, We think the clarity of having a donation agreement that spells out the terms of what they're giving, when and why, and, you know, what in exchange for, and if the funds could be diverted anywhere else. I guess the more you have in documentation, I believe it's a better program for not only the donor, but for the village as well, so that there's no misunderstandings, and that we have, at least a shell document, and this can get modified however you need to for addendums and adding, you know, additional, you know, conditions or whatever you wanna add to that between the village and the donor. But at this point, I believe it's in the best interest of the village to have a document as like this one that you're seeing in front of you tonight.
Was it moved by or, sorry? I don't know if it asked for it,
I don't think we,
No, we did not.
we did run this one by that legal. We did, Blaine, with this one, is we looked at like, was it 4 documents from other places and universities and things, and we tried to milk kind of the messages we want.
Sure.
I think if we had, you know, a large donation, if you wanted to have legal review it, that'd be fine too. But we didn't spend the money on legal on this one, just because I thought it was a pretty standard boilerplate agreement, but can be done if you want it looked at by legal.
I think that, having read through it a couple times, I think that, I'm not no attorney, but I like the fact it was pretty encompassing and covered a lot of different situations. At this point, I don't think it needs to go spend more money on this. I think it is, as is, pretty clear cut and straightforward. And again, as Dave says, if we have some major thing, maybe at that point, make sure it's legal. So I'll make a motion to approve the charitable donation agreement as is. As presented.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendation of the Public Safety Committee related to the temporary street closure permit for the Random Lake Auxiliary on July 26, 2026 for the Fireman's Picnic.
We reviewed this in committee, and it looks like it's pretty much straightforward as everything in the past. And we recommended that we approve this with the, this where we waive the fee? No.
Yes.
Yeah, on the
Yes.
second page.
Second
put
page
that
it
note.
says, with the waiver of the fee, based on the fact that this is, even though the cost to the village will probably be approximately $750 for 5 employees for 3 hours, we determined that based on the good work done by the auxiliary and the benefit to the whole community, this is a one-time fee we would waive.
And also the work Todd to stop the street closures during the parade and move up.
Oh, yes,
We did talk about that.
thank you. We also asked that the community resource officer,
Terry.
Terry. Sorry.
Terry,
Still thinking Todd.
he'll lead the parade, but then he immediately returned back and close off all southbound traffic on your street.
Was it Spring?
Spring Street?
Or Spring Street.
Yep, I was gonna talk to him, or did somebody say that already to him?
We had him in here a couple
Oh,
of
he
years
was
ago. Yeah, but
I was gonna
you
make
can
sure.
always
he did.
reiterate to him if you.
Spring and Wolf, right?
Basically, yeah.
I will make a motion to approve the recommendations and leave it as is.
I'll second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendation of the Public Safety Committee related to temporary street closure permit for the Random Lake Historical Society on August 8th, 2026.
This also was presented to the Public Safety Committee, and we recommended approval. Pretty straightforward on, it's the one for the 8th, correct?
Yes.
Yes. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., barricades will be dropped off by the village, and you guys will put them in place. Muscles
And you don't have to drag them.
Nope, I mean, just right where you're at.
I'll make a recommendation to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and multiple second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Oh, you
I'm
abstained.
a member of the.
Motion carries. Recommendation of the Public Safety Committee related to a temporary street closure permit for the 4 kids on September 25th, 2026.
Here again, this was brought to the Public Safety Committee, and we approved, or recommended it be approved by the full village board.
Did we skip one?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
Mother board.
Are we in the right one here?
We'll go back, we'll do the 4 kids and I'll go back, I missed one.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, which one are we on?
We're doing the 4 kids.
Oh, 4 kids.
Yep,
All right,
and then I'll
maybe I
go back.
jumped that. I see you jumped that, okay.
I did.
There we go, Cecilia down for CC. Yes,
Yep.
this is the color run, traditional in full. Just a few comments about this is that in the past, we had this thing running all through town and we requested that maybe the school work together to condense the area of the road and incorporate it more on school property. And they did quite a bit of a reduction in the length. Now it's only going down Western and to Allen Street and then coming back up Grand Avenue a little bit on Spring Street.
Perfect.
And they're not requesting any actual physical barriers because they claim they're gonna keep everybody still on the sidewalks and instructed that. And in a moment of weakness, I guess I agreed, and maybe I reluctantly should have done that. We agreed that this is the waiver fee would be, the fee would be waived because our personnel would not be out there having to do much, we thought. So,
For nothing, right?
Don't say we.
with nothing, yes.
Don't say we.
I'll take responsibility, I don't have a mouse in my pocket, it's not we. So, with that, I recommend we approve this one and waive the fee, this time.
You are soft.
I am a softie.
Hot second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just real quick, the
Yes, sir.
people that are the traffic controllers at the intersection, you're only gonna be wearing high visible.
Yep.
Yes, that was discussed.
We did
Okay,
discuss.
thank you.
Anything else? Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go back. Recommendation of the Public Safety Committee related to a temporary street closure permit for Erfley Random Arts Collective, Lakefront Studio and Gallery, and Booze Inn for August 29th.
Here again, we had this presented to us at committee, and we recommended it be approved by the full board. It's a pretty simple, one afternoon event, or one afternoon evening event with a band to be played in the streets, on Second Streets.
Motion to approve the recommendation as presented.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, recommendation of the Public Safety Committee related to a temporary street closure permit for the Random Lake Chamber of Commerce on September 26, 2026.
Here again, we have a permit requested. This will be very similar to the previous fall festival events. It's set up at 9 AM, take down by 5 PM. Barricades will be placed, right, Peter?
Just have a question,
Yes.
our road projects.
They're aware of it and they know they're gonna move it
Thinking
up.
about alternate?
Yep.
Okay,
They're gonna move it, instead of all of Second Street, they're gonna stop the tracks.
I didn't think of beforehand, and I'm thinking, well, if this gets approved, that section's in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
okay.
talked about that,
Yep,
so.
so, perfect. Just checking,
And they're aware of First Street, so.
yeah, okay.
So with that, I guess I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendation of the Beautification and Lake Park and Recreation Committee related to Resolution 2026-02 Downtown Business Improvement Plan.
Yep, we discussed this at probably the last, 10 beautification meetings or so, and we finally came to an agreement for a program that can support all for-profit downtown business owners or building owners. And the goal of this resolution is to say that the village can handle the funds that are dispersed to the grantees. It does not mean that the village will be providing the funds as far as actually putting money into the account. It just means that the village can legally hold the money that is given to the village to fund this program. And for a little context, the chamber has made the initial donation to get this program up and running this year of $100,000. So that is the money that the village will be holding on to and managing in one of its own bank accounts that will get opened after this resolution passes.
Everybody get a chance to look at this? Anybody have questions on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the downtown business improvement plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you, everybody, for working on that. Approval of the annual operator license for the year July 20th, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Michaela Caples, Erica Allenberg, and Rachel Fuller. Everybody checked out? I'm worried about that Rachel one. Good. Thank you,
You got it. Thanks, Kevin.
I'll make a motion.
Split out mine so I can vote on the other two and then abstain
Sure.
from mine.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll go back on that one. So we'll do Michaela Caples and Erica Allenberg.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. You want a second?
Sure.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a recommendation for Rachel.
Second.
Yes, Rachel Pullman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And one abstention. Approval of the June 15th, 2026 Village Board meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve as written, and find any errors there.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Two abstentions. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the July 6th, 2026 meeting, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the July 26th, or July 6th, geez, 2026 Village Board meeting minutes. And that one, she's already aware of the spelling error.
And one other minor thing, I just wanna make a note that my name isn't in the top there, that I was present even though I made a motion.
Imagine.
I don't really care, but I just thought I should point it out.
I didn't even catch that one up there.
I'll make a motion.
I wasn't. I'll abstain.
What's that?
Oh,
I said I wasn't there, so I'll abstain.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 6, 2026 board meeting minutes
I'll second.
Was that with?
With the corrections?
with corrections.
Alright,
I'll second. What do you do?
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And one abstention.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. Items within the consent agenda can be considered individually if the village board chooses to do so. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none. April 8th, 2026 Public Safety Committee meeting minutes. May 11th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting minutes. May 20th, 2026 Public Works Committee meeting minutes. June Sheriff's Department report. June 8th, 2026 Finance Committee meeting minutes. June 8th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting minutes. June 9th, 2026 Beautification Lake Park Rec. And Lake Parks and Rec Committee meeting minutes. June 11th, 2026 Public Safety Committee meeting minutes. June 21st, 2026 General checks. June 21st, 2026 Utility checks. July 21st, 2026 Fire and Ambulance checks, and July newsletter.
Make a motion to approve as read.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion related to quarter two budget variance reports.
Okay. So in your packet, you have the quarterly, variance reports for all operating entities of, the village as well as the fire department. And, one of the things that I'll point out is Stephanie did a very nice job of giving everyone an executive summary in front of them tonight. I'll highlight some of the things that are going on as we're at the midway point of the year. And then we also included on your table is all the balances, so you'll have the balances of where they were, where they are now, some footnoting of what's happened and what we've done with some of the funding from either moving into the savings or paying out line of credit, things like that, so that you can see those things. So I'm just gonna jump into each of the segments of the operating entity and kind of touch on a lot of the things that Stephanie has pointed out. Some of the things I guess I would point your attention to is keep in mind the village does not run on an accrual basis. You're seeing on a cash basis, so timing issues are big for revenue and sometimes expense, and the seasonality is not smoothed out over the life of the 12 months that we operate in. So with that, as you kind of look at the general account, you'll see we've done some updating of the revenue based off the 26 property tax payments that have been received. We also have the remaining of our taxes, which will hit us in August, so that will bring your revenue to come in line with where you're seeing it, what is projected for the year. As far as the taxes go, the state and county aid payments do not arrive until July, so you'll be seeing those in the future in your updated variance reports moving forward. Some of the things I think that are important in the expenses is you'll notice when it comes to the personnel, employee costs and the like in all entities, this year we migrated to actually logging the hours correctly by what department is actually using them. So therefore you're having variances in each of the areas because we're actually doing, I think, a better job now of accounting versus just doing a percentage of throwing wages over each entity on a kind of a guesstimate. So now we're trying to get more to an actual. Is it perfect? It'll never be perfect, but we're trying to get it as accurate as we can so that from an accounting standpoint, you really have a clearer picture. So when we get into the 27 budgeting, we'll be able to smooth that out a lot better and really manage it. So it's gonna look a little, technical term, a little wonky this year just because of what we did with the timesheets, but I think in general, we've tightened up a lot of those things. We've tightened up overtime with our staffing now up to speed of where we wanted it to be. I think we're in really good shape from that moving forward. So just keep in mind your future quarterly variance reports. This will be an area that will get talked about all times, is this with the personnel costs and where it's allocated. Some of the other things I think that's important to note that on an overall basis, our revenues right now at about 62% of our planned budget and expenses are running at 58.2. Again, seasonality in some of those expenses as well, but it's just important to know what this board should be looking at is anything over 50% at your midway point, whether it's revenue or expense, is kind of what's going on and why would be the questions. So as you break down into that variance report, you're just gonna dig for items that you want, if there's things you want to ever pull out or ask, feel free to contact Stephanie or myself and we'll dig to the bottom and try to get you an answer on something that you may have a question on. But that's kind of what you're looking at for a trigger is, okay, how are you doing in conjunction with that? In the account balances to note in the general accounts area, we did have decrease in savings for projects for Kirchard Park, Bertram Park, BMLP, and equipment for park-related purchases. So at budget time, we're gonna have to review those things and determine, how and if we're gonna replenish some of those accounts off of those spends, because right now they do not have any additional funding going into them. As you kind of break down then into the water area, the water area again has timing issues with revenue because of the seasonality of water usage. That gets a little bit greater for us in summer and even pushing into the fall period is when we kind of see the peak from water usage standpoint. So that revenue should come, that should move itself closer to where we had budgeted. From the expense side, I talked about it already with the wages and benefits and how that's getting accounted for now. You're gonna see that reclassification will show up in the water as well as it did in general, as it will show up in sewer as well. But overall, our revenue is running at 45.87% of budget, and expenses are at 49.62% of budget. So on track with water, other than the revenue, which we will see that catch itself up likely in this next variance report. As far as account balance here, we've just been redistributing into higher interest earning type of accounts when we've had extra funds that don't have to sit dead in a checking account earning nothing. So we're trying to at least maximize whatever we can from an income standpoint on additional money that we have available to get some interest on. In the sewer account, the revenue, you see a large increase overall that came from our industrial income as we reclassed or had identified an industry that wasn't kind of getting reporting as it should have, as we've talked about in the past, and now that that's online, as well as all the additional incremental increases in the rates that we've done. What we're gearing up for is the treatment plant project. And if you remember when Ellers said we needed to have a 12-month history of showing that we can cash flow new debt, that was part of the plan when we introduced the increase in rates, because we have to show that we can actually afford this plant. And likely, we'll have to assess whether our rates are at the right amount or whether it's got to change again based off that final project, and then based off of Ellers' projection, and then what can be financed out into the bond markets. So stay tuned on that, but as you can see, the sewer from where it was to where it is today is a highly improved balance sheet. There's also, if you look at from our expense side, again, the reallocation of wages, I won't talk about that again, but overall, you can see revenue is up 99% over budget, and that expenses are running at 39% of budget. So overall, knock on wood, the plant has been running, Peter. And so hopefully we can avoid last year's unforeseen and unplanned expenses. So we'll hold our breath on that one moving forward. Account balances, again, we're still doing some things there. We're trying to pay down the line of credit that we established in Collins to not only acquire the land for the new property where the water treatment plant will be at, but also some of the related expenses to that. So we're doing the reduction of the line with the surpluses that we're getting right now. That all again gets rolled into our greater project, one that gets established, and then when Ellers puts the financing together for us on our behalf, and we go to market on that. So that's coming down the pike. The fire department, I'll speak to what I saw, and if Pat wants to chime in with anything else, from their side, they had some revenue come in from the auxiliary. They're running at about, the revenue's at 66.71% of their budget. Their expenses are at 56.66. They had a few expenses in EMS uniforms and some fire extinguisher maintenance, and then a couple ladder repairs and ambulance repairs that we're off track from their budget standpoint. Pat, did I miss anything?
No.
As far as a summary on that. And then lastly, to close, a couple of things that we're working on from the finance committee is now that we're actually accruing some decent funding on some of the balances, we're looking at anything that's exceeding the FDIC limits. We're looking to securitize our deposit accounts that we have in place, so that's looking forward. And then we're looking at some fraud measures of using potentially positive pay to protect the village against potential fraud in the future. So a couple of our items for next meeting that we'll be covering. So in a nutshell, that is the summary of the last quarter and how we're tracking through 6/30. Did I miss anything, Stephanie?
No, you kind of.
No, it goes long-winded.
There was a lot there, but it was good information.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I wanted to add too, I know Chuck had inquired about it last meeting, you'll see that the parking for the park is lower than last year. I mean, we just had a really slow start to the season, but you can see the concessions is higher than last year. I mean, it's hard to tell with that first month, cause really we don't pick up until July anyway, so we should be able to be at budget time, by the end of the season, so. That's kind of the only thing I noticed really that I forgot to add in the report, so.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
Anybody else have any questions for Dave? All right, we'll move on then. Discussion related to the Q2 building permits report.
Same kind of question.
We haven't even read it yet, but go ahead.
Well, as you're reading it, I'd like you to pay attention to the fact that there's 6 addresses listed at Christine's Way. That is 3 buildings. When permits were issued for those duplexes or duplex condos, just like they are in the new subdivision, that is 1 permit. Absolutely understand and respect. Somebody takes out a deck on one side, somebody doesn't take out a deck on the other side, like myself and my neighbor. Person who takes out a deck, that requires a building permit, they have to take that out. If you look at the deeds, we are all part of a homeowners association, it's right in there. I don't understand why we were required, the entire roof was replaced. If you'd half done it, right, because it's all latticed together, it would've looked for crud. I don't understand why we had to take 2 permits out per building. I don't know, it could've been that we had an idiot of a roofer, I'm not really impressed with them. Everybody else likes them, I'm not. But, if that was something that was guided, I think the village needs to come, because you are getting more and more of these duplexes. I think the village needs to come up with an understanding and a communication, because there's other things. We're planning replacing siding in the future. Is that going to, and I can't remember if siding requires a permit or not, but if it is that going to require 2 siding permits? I think you're looking at that, to me, it's no different than if the apartments down across from school get a roof. The whole thing's gonna get a roof, or they're going to do a roof patch, right? They're not gonna say, oh, these 2 units are gonna get a roof and these 2 units aren't. So when it comes to those sorts of things, I think the village board needs to determine how do we decide that it's 1 building permit per building, and then everything that's cohesive to the entire building like that is 2 permits. And I will also tell everybody here that the person who does the research for the planning commission has already said he can't voice any opinion because he inherits it if I fall from a ladder and die and crack my head up and die, so.
And we'll have to have a discussion with Roger on that. But thank you.
Yep, so back to the summary, so this year, obviously, we have issued quite a few more permits than last year, which increased the cost. They did have 1 new home in the subdivision, and there were a couple of commercial buildings that were put up. So that helped with the increase in the overall permits and the overall fees that were collected.
Anybody have anything else on that? Barb, Blaine? Anything? Staff and committee reports. Stephanie?
So last week we processed some records requests. We also issued the 10-day disconnection notices for utilities. Weeks ago we conducted a Board of Appeals meeting. And then Carissa completed her 4th and final year of the Clerk Treasurer Institute. This is one of the required courses for her to take in order to become a certified clerk or treasurer. And then for upcoming, we're searching for bins to start an aluminum can collection fundraiser for the beautification committee. I put a little advertisement in it in the newsletter, so we're hoping to get that in place before the newsletter goes out in a couple weeks. We're going to be processing a large records request that came in today for property data and permit records. And lastly, I joined the Municipal Treasurers Association Spring Conference Planning Committee, so we have our first meeting this week. And that's it.
Anybody have anything, Barb?
After August 1st, like probably we're looking at August 4th to try to have a, Lake Parks and Rec, meeting. We're like trying to come up with, our Randall Lake historian, trying to come up with a name for the actual name for Veteran Park, Memorial Park, Ham Miller, Dietrich Park, Triangle Park is what Gary Fair calls it. The store, the Legion, and I think both, Sons of the Legion and, Legion, Legion Auxiliary are having, I believe, a joint meeting on August 1st in Batavia. And I did talk to the one person that's in charge, the other one, to try to get together and see if we can come up with a name so we can put a plaque out there, just like we have for Jacoby, and recognize it with, all the names.
It's gonna match all the others, right, except for Burton Park, right?
Well, yeah, I would think it would match all the others, but now I have a concern about Jacoby. So either way, we wanted to, I wanted everybody to make sure, and I'll ask Gary to maybe put something in the calendar that if anybody's interested in attending that meeting, either, well, they can't come to the one on the 1st because that's closed, but the 4th, the committee meeting, and if anybody has opinions, do we want, a lot of times Chuck Miller brought up a thing, or I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, not necessarily always naming something with a personal name, XYZ Park, JI, because then what happens when somebody else maybe passes away, or anything like that. So we're trying to come up with a name that would fit to go with the park, and that would be the main thing on that meeting that night. So, I just wanna make everybody aware, Peter, we're not having a meeting this Thursday, so I just wanna make sure, see if Peter can put something in, some for people to be aware. Thank you.
Peter?
Since last meeting, other than the daily, rounds and operations, lawn cutting, we did the setup for the beach bash closure, street closures, and whatever, a little bit down in the park, just closing up that one in the parking lot. We did the cleanup the following morning. We had the, prep for the water main breaks, paving, county came in and paved those for us. Continued on the stump removal that we've been working on. Tyler took a class, went to take a class in Clover, a one-day class in Clover on basic wastewater. We did a little bit of work on our pallet racking, not much, because we just got pushed over on a couple other things. And multiple problems at the East Shore lift station. We spent a few days over there. We had some motor problems and other electrical problems in there, but we did get them resolved. Hopefully we'll have that taken care of soon. Looks like the new lift station will be, right now we're waiting on We Energies. It sounds like the beginning of August before they'll be out there to put in the gas and the electric. The electric's coming now, I just finally got the gas stuff. So it's just a waiting time right now with We Energies. We had a lot of utility locating lately, with obviously a lot of building permits, a lot of people doing work, a lot of investigation work. So we've had quite a few utility locate people coming in. And we had another water main break, on Highway 144. A little strange, but it was.
Are those pipes that old?
No, I'm not there, I don't think, no. It was installed, it was on installation. They never used gravel on any of these. When you put them in, they never bedded the pipes in. So you get one rock against the water main pipe, you got a problem. So it's just the installation. which we've noticed a lot of the stuff.
These
you know.
regular backfill to whatever they dug up?
Dirt, whatever they dug up, they put back in, so that's probably part of the problem. But we got it fixed, wasn't too bad, hard to find it, but, we did find it. And that's kind of a lot of the stuff we've been working on up and coming. Obviously we'll have some restoration on the bank. It's in the grass, well, no, road was torn up, but we'll have some restoration over there on 144. We will be, the plan was to be working this week on Jesse Lane, starting on Mastic, working on that. We will have the setup for the parade, obviously by the end of the week, just getting the barricades out ahead of time. It will be doing some street sweeping, of this side of the west side of town later this week before the parade. Also, and then we do have some smaller asphalting patching around the village that we are gonna do ourselves. County came in with a favor for the big stuff, we can take care of the little stuff, so we have some of that coming around. And, that's just kind of some of the up and coming stuff.
Did we go in and clean up the bank? CMO?
We did once. I'm going to send them another letter.
'Cause it-
There's no I got no response.
That looks terrible.
I got no response.
I mean, especially this weekend with people walking right by it.
We will probably cut the front again. They've gotten one bill already. There was no response on the letter when I sent it to them, so we gave them so many days and then we cut it.
I mean, and the sad thing is, it's not even just the grass, it's the weeds, it's, the bushes are all over,
I mean, somebody could spend
Oh,
days
yeah,
in there.
right.
And
Absolutely, but
unfortunately-
it's just a shame, cause
Yeah.
it,
Well, you think if they're selling it, they'd want it to look good, but they're just kinda just.
the other thing, can we check, Frontier, those bushes are sticking out, those shrubs?
I told them already.
Okay, alright, yep,
My contact with them,
Okay.
I actually asked them about it.
Yep.
Probably over a month ago.
Okay.
I'll reach out
I
to
know,
them
'cause I-
again, cause I
people
saw
had
he didn't
mentioned
do
it.
it.
Yep.
So I'll call him again.
okay, thank you.
When you're a sheriff or weed cutter or something.
Anything else for Peter? Alright, Pat.
Alright, so June, in month review was pretty busy actually. Again, the first Monday of the month, we always do our EMS training, so that was June 1st. We refreshed ourselves on some standing protocols and some scenarios. On June 8th, we had our business meeting. On June 22nd, we had a water movement training with our ladder truck. On the 29th, we had our makeup class for the ones that couldn't make it for respectful workplace training. Fire calls, we had 13 fire calls in the month of June. June 2nd, we had a vehicle accident in the town of Scott where we had sent the rescue and ambulance. On June 5th, we had a truck fire in the town of Sherman where an engine rescue went to that. On June 6th, we assisted Cascade Fire Department with a structure fire in the town of Linden with a tender. On June 9th, we assisted Cascade Fire Department with a structure fire in the town of Mitchell with a tender. June 10th, we had reported wires down in the town of Sherman. That was when a storm came through. Shortly after we got paged for the first time, we got paged again for wires further down the same road. But we responded with the engine and rescued and ambulances to those. From June 11th, that was the fire alarm call in Random Lake here, engine and ambulance. And then the 12th, we had two at the same, all three of these were at the same residence, which that's all taken care of now. But engine and ambulance responded to that. June 20th, we had a vehicle accident in the town of Scott, rescue and ambulance went to that. June 22nd, we assisted Fillmore with the structure fire in the town of Farmington. Engine and tender went to that was for that barn fire out there. June 24th, we had a vehicle accident in the town of Sherman, rescue and ambulance went to that. And then June 24th, fire alarm in the village of Random Lake. Engine and ambulance went to that. Ambulance calls, we had 25 ambulance calls, 9 in the village of Random, 6 in the town of Sherman, 6 in the town of Scott, 4 in the village of Edel. Miscellaneous things, we had a vehicle, I think 2 vehicles in Newburgh Parade, 1 vehicle in the Flag Day Parade. Casey Jensen completed and is now a certified firefighter 1. Jack Stange is completed and is now a certified AMT basic. We had a member that attended the countywide dive team drill up in Sheboygan. 3 of us went to the State Fire Chiefs Convention, and we did 3 of the music in the parks with beverages. Anniversaries, we have Dan Murphy with 26 years, Chris Birnbaum 25 years, Dan Schaller 20 years, Dave Wensky 20 years, and Dylan Heimel 15 years.
Is state looking at only doing fire inspections once a year? Okay.
Yeah, Jacob's been looking into that.
Yeah,
A lot of
he
the
has to apply
communities
for
have been doing it.
Does he have to apply for automatic?
I'm not sure. I know he's been getting information on it. It's still being talked about quite a bit.
And is it possible that Jacob will give you the number of inspections he's done and violations and corrections he found in a month? I don't know if that's possible or not. Maybe if it's not. that's
I'd
fine.
rather, can we do it like quarterly rather
You
than
could-
monthly?
yeah, you could
Cause
go
he
ahead.
does certain amounts per
Right,
week and
sure.
spreads it out throughout the
Right,
year.
I'm just.
I mean, if that's something you want, I could do it every 6
That's
months
just-
or.
And then, is it factual that the training centers in our area, Marine Park, METC, LTC, is looking at a 2-tier EMT class, that the first half you
That's
go to
EMR.
is, you can be licensed as an EMR?
That's what Jax did.
Okay.
He went through the first part as an EMR, jumped right into the second
Oh,
part,
that's-
which is
that's
basic.
being done already?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's what he did.
Did he try to get his EMR first, or just because he went?
He wanted everything, so he just went right through it.
So
But he did have his EMR first though,
Because
actually. He was,
otherwise, if you would not pass the second, or the national second.
it would
you
fall
still
back
be
on
an
that
EMR.
license, yep. He did have that license and he rode with us while he was in school for basic.
That's very
Yep.
good, good thing for the state to do, thank you.
So is that what this group wants me to do, is to have that, quarterly or the fire inspection report?
You can maybe do it public safety, discuss it or whatever if you want.
We could discuss it at public safety, see what you wanna do.
Sure.
See if we wanna do it or not.
Put it on the agenda, Stephanie, please.
Sure.
And you're talking about just a quarterly report about every business or every situation you inspected?
Well, I
for-
think he
Just
said
the
that,
If there was
Just
or-
numbers.
just the ones that needed,
there was a violation.
Violations found and violations corrected,
Oh,
and then,
so
so.
it doesn't have to be
not the
reported,
name,
everything.
Right.
yeah, not the names of the people or who had the just the total number of inspections, number of violations and number of corrections.
see, for my 2% dues that I have to fill out each year, I have to give them a report once a year. How many we found that had infractions or whatever, and then how many corrected them and how many were outstanding yet.
And who do you have to give that
To
to?
the state to get our 2% due money from the state, so,
Okay. You do that twice a year, once a year?
once a year,
Once a year, okay.
which, I mean, quarterly is probably a little too much, I could, if you wanna do it every 6 months, I could get you something like that.
It'd be yearly. But
Or
we can talk about it later.
yearly, I
Yeah.
could give you a yearly one.
We'll put it on our
Sure.
agenda for next meeting, which is not yet scheduled, so.
Anything else for Pat? Alright, blame off Pat, would say thank you and congrats to the certifications and the anniversaries. We appreciate it, thank you very much. Also, anybody that wants to volunteer for a picnic, he would greatly appreciate it. He's looking for volunteers.
Or even come down and support us, I would love to have all of you there, just to grab a sandwich. That'd be
Or a
great.
fish fry.
Fish fry, whatever,
But I know you're looking for volunteers.
Yep, that too, thanks.
Off your stuff, I did reach out to John Cameron, I haven't heard back from him yet, so for that report. For the sewer with the new rates and everything, now that we have some history, so we're waiting to hear from that. And I have a meeting on Wednesday with Clark Dietz and the DNR, so we should have an update for our wastewater plant for next meeting, if the DNR approves everything. So stay tuned on that one. And that is all I have.
Can you just, do we have a general early on from Clark Dietz on what, new wastewater treatment plant would cost about? I forget the range, did he give us an idea? Was it?
They were trying to stick around 10,
About 10, okay. All right,
was their
10.
goal, but now
Who
it's
knows
been a
what-
couple of years, who knows?
Yeah, who knows what it'll really be, I just remember one time it was like 15 or 16,
Yeah.
but that's out the window.
That's, yes.
It's just like refreshed on that.
Public comments on non-agenda items limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Please state your name and address. No back and forth commentary is allowed during this item, as the public comment item being addressed is not listed on the agenda. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, two things, she knows my name and address. First of all, thank you, Stephanie and Dave, I really appreciated what I saw there, and I also appreciate breaking out the salaries back to what they were when I filled out a time card for the village, and really getting a better accounting of where everything is, so thank you for that. And Chuck, that motion tonight with the dollars amount in it, that's exactly what Mom came and talked to the board about 5 years ago, because it makes it a whole lot easier when we have to dig through and find things in the future, so thank you for that.
I didn't know that was a big thing, but thank you.
It was, so thank you.
I do. Shannon Tremblay, 509 Franzen Street. I know it's not directed at you, but I know there's many members that are with Rainham Lake Association or even with the Chamber or with Public Works, but the Beach Bash, fantastic. The trash was overwhelming. Patrons were doing trash Jenga sitting by us because it was overflowing, and it wasn't even, we arrived at 3:30 because we were helping at the kids' corner. And it was already a disaster by the time we got done volunteering. So just a thought, just a discussion, maybe to talk to the association, Chamber of Commerce, Public Works, maybe more trash cans, or clean it up. That's it.
Thank you. Nobody online? Discussion on future agenda items. Anybody have anything? If not, you know what to do. Consider an act by roll call vote to enter into closed session for the following, pursuant to state statute 1985 1Z,